So I wanted to do a video about finance and money. I've read several things, articles, books, everything that I can to understand money and truly understand how it works for me. It's because I just feel like we really don't understand money. Like, people in general don't understand money and how it works and how to get it to work for you. I'm not rich, I'm not a millionaire, but I have managed to get my credit score over a 700 within a year, maybe a year and like 2 or 3 months. So let me just break it down to you. College. It all starts in college. You're going to see all of these credit card companies on campus. They're going to be selling you stuff. They're going to be giving you free t-shirts. And to be honest, I signed up for my first credit card because I wanted a t-shirt that said college. And I'm sure a lot of you did. If you're in college now, you probably did that, or you may be going to do that. But that's how it all gets started. So when you get this credit card, you don't understand anything about it. You don't know how to use it. You're just like, okay, this is free money. I have money. I know I have to pay it back at some point, but I still have money now that I don't have. So you're all excited. This is the way that credit works. Your credit to debt ratio is what makes your score go higher. So let's say you have one credit card that's worth $1,000. If you run up $800 on it, you're using 80% of your credit to debt ratio. So this means that you only have 20% credit and 80% debt. You don't look good to other lenders, and you don't look good on your credit. So as far as your credit score, that looks really bad. So the trick to credit is you're supposed to only utilize less than 30% of your actual credit. So if you have a $1,000 credit card or a $1,000 credit limit, you're technically only supposed to be using $300 at a time. Now, I get it. You're probably like, why did I get $1,000 if I can't use the whole thing? You can use it, but you have to pay it off or get it below 30% before the cycle date. Now, these are terms that you need to know, familiarize yourself with, understand, learn them, look them up, truly study them. 2 things. Your cycle close date on your credit card statement and when the credit card is reported to the credit bureaus. Call up your credit card company, ask them those 2 questions. When is my cycle close date? And when is the card reported to the agencies? Now here's the trick to credit, right? To credit cards that people don't know. The cycle close date is different from your due date. In your mind, you're thinking, well, as long as I pay whatever I have to pay before my due date, I'm good. Your due date means nothing. The credit card company just made up that date as a random date that they want their money by. It has nothing to do with your credit. It's not going to help you in any kind of way other than you paying off whatever the minimum is, of course. But the credit card due date really means nothing if you're not like understanding what the cycle date is. So let's say you have a credit card that's due on the 1st. Your cycle doesn't close until the 10th. So you pay off your card on the 1st thinking, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm a good civilian. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I pay off my credit card by the 1st, or I pay the minimum. It doesn't matter, because you pay that off or you pay your minimum payment on the 1st. Your cycle doesn't close until the 10th. You now have 9 days that you're swiping your card and you're charging it back up. The chances are that you are charging more than 30% of that credit to debt ratio that we were talking about, right? So between the 1st and the 10th, you've now charged over 30%. So the 10th comes around and your cycle has closed. The cycle close date, if it's on the 10th, they're reporting it to the agencies within 1 to 2 business days from that cycle close date. So if your cycle closes on the 10th, they're reporting it to the agencies around the 12th. So everything that you've spent between the 1st and the 10th is now going to reflect what your credit is and what your credit score is going to be when it gets reported on the 12th. So yeah, you paid off the balance on the 1st, but that doesn't matter, because what you've charged between the 1st and the 10th is what's going to count for what your credit score is going to be and what you look like to lenders, because now your cycle closes on the 10th and it's being reported on the 12th. So here's the trick to understanding, well, how do I make this work for me? How does it work in my favor? Once you figure out these 2 dates, the cycle close date and when it's being reported to the agencies, this is how it's going to work in your favor. Number 1, keep that due date. Keep that due date that the credit card companies tell you that you have to pay your minimum balance by, and pay the minimum balance. So let's say your minimum balance is $25. Pay them that $25 by the 1st. And the best thing to do is to have auto debit from your debit account, to auto debit that on the 1st, so that no matter what, they're always going to get their minimum payment. They can never say you're late on any payments. So pay the minimum balance on your due date, which is going to be whatever that day is. We're using the 1st for the purpose of this video. Pay your minimum balance by the 1st. Between the 1st and the 10th, that's when you pay that lump sum off. You can spend whatever you want between the 1st and the 10th, but by the time the 10th comes, you need to have the entire balance or something that reflects less than 30%. You need to pay off at least 70% of the card basically if you spent that much, but you want to get it below 30%. So again, if your limit is $1,000 and you spent $900, you want to go ahead and pay off a good $700 by the 10th, because again, remember, that's that crazy word, cycle close date. Bling 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 bling. Cycle close date is when you want to pay your stuff off by, or you want to get below the 30% ratio by the cycle close date. So again, your minimum payment is due on the 1st. Let's say it's $25. Pay that $25 on the 1st. When the 9th rolls around, and I kind of give myself a day or two before the days that they actually give me to give myself some cushion, so that if something happens, the payment doesn't go through for another 24 hours, I still have that 1 to 2 day buffer. So let's say your cycle closes on the 10th. On the 9th, that is when you want to pay down whatever balance that you have, or you want to get under that 30% bracket. So again, if that credit card is $1,000 and you charge up $900 and something dollars, you want to get it to be under $300. I would say under $200 to be safe by the 10th, because that's your cycle close date. So now, those 1 to 2 days after the 10th, the 11th or the 12th, when it's being reported to the credit agencies, they're not going to see, they don't know anything about that $900 that you spent, because guess what? You covered it by the time that cycle closed out. So now when it gets reported on the 11th or the 12th, it now shows that you've used less than 30% of your actual credit. So you have 70% of credit left to use. Like, you're 70% good to the rest of the world. That's how you're being looked at. Like, you have 70% of credit left, then that's how good you are. So again, familiarize yourself with these two terms. Call your credit card companies and ask them these two things. They're going to be confused. They're not going to know what's going on. They may have to put you on hold. They may have to look some stuff up, because again, credit is really complicated. I don't understand why it wasn't meant for us to get it. Actually, I do understand, but it's one of those things where they're going to be confused. So you want to just make sure you get those two answers out of them. They're going to tell you a bunch of stuff. And I hate when I call and I ask you a question, a direct question, and you don't give me a direct answer. So please remember to stick to these two things. Ask them, when is your cycle close date? And when is the day that they report it to the agencies? Guarantee they're going to be 1 to 2 days apart from each other. So if they tell you the 10th, the close date, the credit reporting day may be the 12th. Maybe the 13th, 14th, whatever it is, but it's going to be a few days before that cycle close date. And that's the trick to credit. It's just that easy. You can keep your score up, you can keep your score high with just these few things. Word of advice to college students: don't get a whole bunch of credit cards. Don't. I know everybody's saying, oh, it's going to fall off in 7 years, blah, blah, blah. But these days, credit card companies are coming for you, and they are waiting for you at the door, because they heard about you. So don't get a bunch of credit cards, because you don't know what's going to happen in 7 years. You don't know what your life is going to be like. You may want to get a condo. There's so many things that you want to do with your life post-college that when you're in college, you don't really understand what's going on. And all of that is going to reflect on you post-college. So don't get a bunch of credit cards. Get one. Just get one, because you have no credit if you don't have a credit card. So just get one card. Don't get an outstanding balance. If they want to increase your balance, don't increase it until you've understood those two things that I've just talked about: the cycle close date and the date it's reported. Do not increase your balance, again, until you understand those things and you've been paying on it and you see it working for you and you see your score rising, because that's when you really know that you've got this thing down and you understand credit. So it's just that simple. Don't live outside of your means. Don't spend more than you have. Here's the other big secret to the credit card thing, how it increased my score. Here's the trick. You have a debit card and you have a credit card, right? Let's say you have a job and you're getting a direct deposit twice a month. Okay, you get a direct deposit into your debit card account, your checking account, twice a month. Your credit card is due once a month. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to leave your debit card at home. I know what you're thinking. I may need to take cash out. Leave your debit card at home. Only take your credit card and spend whatever you normally spend on the debit card. Spend that on the credit card. Even better thing, make sure it's a rewards card. A card that is rewarding you for using it. A card that is going to give you at least 1.5% cash back or higher. So I have a Capital One card that gives me 1.5% cash back on all of my purchases. So use your debit card, leave your debit card at home, leave your debit card at home and use your credit card as if it were your debit card. So you're at the grocery store, you're swiping tickets for the subway, you're going to the movies, whatever you're doing, swipe, swipe, swipe on your credit card. Keep in mind what that balance is, people. Don't go over the balance, because whatever you charge up, you're now going to pay off with that check that you're getting on the 1st and the 15th. Those 2 checks that you get a month direct deposit into your debit account, you're going to pay off in full what you spent on the credit. Okay? So you understand what's happening here. You're using the credit card as a debit card. So you're getting paid for using your own money regardless. Now this only works if you apply that concept I explained earlier, where you're understanding the cycle close date and the date that it gets reported to the agency. This only works if you're paying off your balance less than 30% of what your card is worth before the cycle close date. Again, this only works that way. Don't just go out and spend it like a debit card, and then when you get your direct deposit from your job, you're like, oh, this is my money. No, this is the money that you just spent, so just pay it off. That 1.5% cash back is gonna add up depending on how much you're spending. So you can make that money back that you're spending. You just have to use it in those 2 ways. So in conclusion, to close this video out, 1, call your credit card company. Ask them when the cycle close date is. It is different from your due date. Don't allow them to tell you, oh, it doesn't matter. No, you want to know when the cycle close date is. 2, pay off the minimum payment on the credit card company's due date. But when your cycle close date comes, pay off your card either in full or less than 30%. Okay, so you want to pay off more than 70% of what you owe on the card. By the cycle close date, you have to pay off more than 70% of what you owe on the card. If it's a $1,000 card and you use up $1,000, you want to pay off at least $700. That's going to come in where you were spending your credit card like your debit card. When your direct deposit comes from your job and your paycheck gets direct deposited into your debit account, that money now is going to be used to pay off what you used on the credit card when you were swiping it like a debit card. Okay? Now if you don't have a credit card and you're thinking about what kind of card to get, the best advice is 1, get a reward card. Get a card that has no transaction fees, no ATM fees. Okay? Capital One has a really good no hassle card. It's the Platinum Visa card. That card has no international fees. That card has no international transaction fees. No, they give you 1.5% cash back. Like, that's a decent card to start off with. Follow these things and I guarantee you your credit score is going to go up. It's going to be really good. No one talks about this. I don't understand. I watch Susie Orman a lot, and there are certain things that she talks about that helps you, but I'm hoping that I can put this in layman terms so that you could understand exactly how credit works and how it can work for you. This will get your credit score up. I'm telling you right now, I came from a really, really low place with my credit score. When I graduated from college, I had like 6 credit cards. I didn't know what I was doing. All of them was charged up. People were sending me letters. Stuff was going to collections. Like, I couldn't understand. And now that I finally understand it and I got my credit score above a 700, I promised God that I would relay this message to you and I would help someone else, because I was in such a bad place when I graduated from college. I was just like, who help? No one tells you this. There's no class in college that teaches you this. It's so funny how college is supposed to prepare us for the real world, but you graduate from college and you're just like, what the? You want to go back to college. This is why many people will get their masters, because it's like, So I'm hoping that this helped you. Please comment below. Let me know if you're going through any financial problems. Just let me know if this helped you at all, or if you have any questions or you're confused or whatever. I just want to hope that this thing came off as clear as it possibly could be. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.